I want to tell you about a company called Hvalica, the largest casino operator in Slovenia, situated in Nova Gorica, right by the Italian border. On paper, they're an entertainment company. Hotels, restaurants, slot machines, wellness centers. They describe themselves on their website as operating with, and I'm quoting directly here, transparency, accountability, and ethics standards. I worked there, and I want to tell you exactly what I saw. But first, let me tell you about my great uncle. His name was Hvalica, member of the Slovenian parliament. In 1995, just 4 years after Slovenia declared independence, he stood up straight and spoke for 4 hours in parliament regarding the casino. 4 hours. About one casino company. Why? Because what was happening inside HIT wasn't just bad business. It was the first major corruption scandal in independent Slovenia. And it went all the way to the top. Here's what investigators found. HIT CEO at the time, Danilo Kovacic, had set up an internal lending operation. He was using the company's own money, public company funds, to loan cash to casino guests. His relative ran the operation, charged commission on top. They were essentially running a loan shark service so other people's money for personal profit. And the cash? It was being transported across the border into Italy, physically, in suitcases, little suitcases of physical cash inside, across the border into Italy, into Italian banks. My great uncle estimated, conservatively, between 15 to 20 million euros. Gone. More than 100 criminal complaints filed. 12 indictments followed. 9 criminal proceedings in Slovenia, 1 in Italy. And then something happens that tells you everything you need to know about how Slovenia works. Kovacic was finally convicted. He showed up at Dob prison with his luggage, ready to serve his sentence. And then, mid-journey, a message arrived from the office of the president of Slovenia. He'd been pardoned. He turned around, went home, and never spent a single day inside. One of his associates hanged himself. Kovacic walked free, and HIT kept operating. My great uncle spent 4 hours in parliament trying to stop that machine. The machine won. To understand HIT, you need to understand one thing. Their entire business model is built on geographic exploitation. Nova Gorica sits exactly on the Italian border, and Italy, for decades, has had strict restrictions on gambling. Limited casinos, heavy regulations since 2018, a complete ban on gambling advertising domestically. So what happens? Italians cross the border into Slovenia to gamble. HIT didn't build a great entertainment product. They built a trap in the right location and waited. Research from the University of Ljubljana found that a 1% drop in Italy's GDP produced a 1.8% drop in HIT's casino revenue. Think about what that tells you. Their entire financial performance is tied to the spending power of a foreign population. 62% of their visitors come from the neighboring regions of Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and Veneto. 44% of the own workforce commutes daily from Italy. This is not a Slovenian company serving Slovenian people. This is a border extraction machine dressed up as a hotel chain, and it has been running on that model for over 30 years. About a year ago, I worked at HIT as a student. My job was maintaining the slot machines. Let me tell you what the promotional images don't show you. The carpet. Every casino floor I worked on had the same aggressively patterned red and orange carpet that looked like it was installed during the Yugoslavia era and hadn't been touched since. It had absorbed decades of cigarette smoke, spilled drinks, and human desperation. The machines I was maintaining, many of them are from the 1980s. Not refurbished, not modernized, original 1980s hardware. Still running, still taking people's money in 2026. A company generating 148 million euros in annual revenue, running machines that predate the internet, the modern computer, and maybe even the fall of communism. The cameras were everywhere, and I mean everywhere. This isn't standard security coverage. Every angle of every machine, every table, every guest, monitored constantly. Casinos don't do that for your safety. They do it to track behavioral patterns, to know which machine produces the highest engagement, to know which guests are in a psychological zone of maximum loss, when to send someone over with a complimentary drink to keep them from leaving. It is surveillance infrastructure disguised as hospitality. And the guests, I saw the same faces week after week. Couples who clearly have been coming for years. Individual regular staff knew by name. People who were visibly not okay, drunk, high, completely detached from reality, sitting in front of machines that were old enough to be in a museum. 12% of people in Slovenia who sought professional help for gambling addiction had staked between 10,000 and 60,000 euros in a single day. One person in Slovenia lost 25 million euros gambling. These are the people who HIT calls their customers. And the working environment, absolutely toxic. Top to bottom. Adult workers who were clearly never taught in their entire lives how to be a human being. Zero respect towards you, cold, detached. Many of them, especially maintenance, were mean, rude, and one former colleague showed me gently disturbing on their phone twice in the same shift. I won't mention what they showed me because it was extreme and not appropriate for YouTube. I had to escalate the situation personally and report to HR. And what happened? They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. They left me vulnerable, forced me to stand my own ground by myself with no safety net, completely oblivious to the fact that I felt seriously threatened by what that colleague did to me. After I finished my time there, I never went back and worked for them ever again. Let someone else maintain their old, outdated Yugoslav communist machines. It will not be me, not anymore. My time there is finished. Not just due to the toxic workplace culture and due to it being a casino, but because over time, if you fall into that pattern of working for these type of corporations, you turn numb, detached, and even worse, into a person who knows zero boundaries. So I decided to abandon that type of environment forever. Outside the casino, the parking lot tells its own story. Ferraris, Porsches, high-end German cars. The visual language of wealth and glamour, designed to make the place feel aspirational, like this is where successful people come to. Here's the reality. Nobody who actually owns a Ferrari is daily driving it to Nova Gorica to a casino on a Tuesday afternoon. Those cars are either leased, rented, or, and this is the more concerning part, they belong to people whose money didn't come from a salary. Nova Gorica sits on the Italian border. The Friuli-Venezia Giulia region across the border has had documented organized crime presence for decades. Money that needs to be moved and legitimized flows naturally towards cash-heavy operations with historically loose oversight. A casino is one of the more convenient money laundering vehicles that exist. You walk in with cash, you play, you cash out winnings. You leave with a paper trail that says gambling transaction, rather than whatever it actually was. HIT has had that infrastructure in place for over 30 years. The suitcases going to Italian banks in the 1990s didn't represent the beginning and end of that story. They represent the beginning. When I worked there, something caught my attention immediately. There were Chinese visitors, a lot of them, which on the surface isn't surprising. Chinese tourism in Europe has exploded, but this one was different. Me and a colleague noticed the same group, same table, week after week. Not tourists passing through, not weekend visitors. The same group of people, sitting at the same table for weeks on end. Let me explain why that matters. China bans gambling entirely for its citizens on the mainland. It also has strict capital controls, a $50,000 annual limit on how much money citizens can move out of the country. Getting large sums of money out of China and into international circulation is legally extremely difficult. But a casino in Slovenia sits outside those controls. You cycle money through gambling transactions if you've essentially internationalized it. The paper trail says casino winnings and losses, not capital flight. A static group at the same table for weeks is not tourism. It is not recreational gambling. It has an operational logic. Someone organized that. Someone arranged the accommodation, the access, the rotation. There is a structure behind it, which makes sense. The Chinese own a whole floor of the casino resort, dedicated just to them. I saw all of that with my very own eyes and knew immediately something was wrong. HIT saw the same thing and saw good customers. That's the difference between an institution that has been paid to look the other way for over 30 years and a person who hasn't. I want to end on something that perfectly summarizes what HIT is in 2026. They parked a Tesla Cybertruck in front of the casino for marketing. a Cybertruck in front of a casino with 1980s slot machines and Yugoslav era carpet, the most polarizing, meme-worthy vehicle on the planet, positioned outside an addiction extraction facility that hasn't updated its interior since socialism, trying to signal modernity and excitement to a demographic that isn't coming to their casino anyway. It's desperate, it's absurd, and it's accidentally honest. Because the Cybertruck is also a product built almost entirely on manufactured hype, with a reality underneath that completely fails to match the image. Two things defined by performance over substance sitting together in one Nova Gorica parking lot. My great uncle Ivo Hvalica spent 4 hours in the Slovenian parliament in 1995 trying to put on record what hit the really was. The CEO got pardoned before he even unpacked that prison. More than 30 years later, the machines are still from the 1980s. The carpet is still from Yugoslavia, the same organized patterns are playing out with new nationalities and the same tables, and the website still says transparency, accountability, and ethical standards. Nothing actually changed. The machine just kept running. If this video reached you, share it. Not because I need the views, but because the people sitting in front of those machines, crossing the border every week, losing money they don't have, they deserve to know exactly what kind of operation is on the other side of the transaction. Heat is not an entertainment company. It never was.